And I'm sure Fatty Borton will really fire up the pride in the maroon jersey, but I mean, you've got to have the cattle, and at the moment, well, he just doesn't have it, it would appear. But really, I think the issue of the week certainly has to revolve around what's happened with the referees and the state of origin scene. The casualties from the bitter struggle between the Australian Rugby League and News Limited continued to mount this week, and the ARL's policy of banishing those who are considered disloyal caught referees, coaches and players in the crossfire. The ARL's top three referees, Phil Harrigan, Graham Annesley and Stephen Clark, all signed with Super League for vastly improved money and were promptly shown the door by the ARL.
Well, the loyalty agreement for the ARL was a 5-year contract where I would swear my loyalty to the ARL, and the figure that they gave me was $5,000 one-off payment. To me, I would have preferred a loyalty agreement with no figure, because for them to put a figure like that on what I meant to them, really disappointed.
Referees boss Mick Stone says they and any other defectors will be replaced by young up-and-coming referees, but it's a big risk. Refereeing, there's no substitute for experience. On the coaching front, last week Chris Anderson was sacked as New South Wales country coach because of his involvement in Super League. This week, Queensland coach Wayne Bennett stepped aside because the state of origin teams are unlikely to include players who have signed with News Limited, leaving Queensland with a below-strength outfit.
I want to do this job, I want to be part of it, and I'm disappointed, but I understand their position with it, and I hope they understand more.
At this stage, the Australian, New South Wales and Queensland rugby leagues seem to be stopping short of publicly banning Super League players from rep teams. This could be indecision, lack of agreement, or caution as to their legal position. If a ban goes ahead, New South Wales will lose Stewart, Daly, Mullins, Lazarus, Clyde, Pay, Eddinghausen and others, 10 or more likely selections. Queensland will lose Langer, the Walters brothers, Renoff, Jason and Darren Smith, Hancock, Calm and more, at least 10 likely inclusions. From ARL loyal players, a possible Blues lineup would still be a formidable side and could feature 11 recent Kangaroos in a squad of 17. Queensland, on the other hand, would be scratching, especially in the half of hooker spots. A likely squad contains only one recent Kangaroo, though 11 have had origin experience. A tough task awaits the replacement coach Paul Horton, who has only dabbled in coaching. Will the fans support a second-string origin series? On the wider issue, polls indicate public support for the ARL over News Limited. Whether that support extends to a weakened origin series, especially in Queensland, is debatable. People who bought tickets should be able to claim refunds, but the ARL and particularly the QRL need the gate takings. At the heart of the issue is the question of whether Super League players should be banned. The ARL hasn't exiled the rebel players from the competition. That would have been suicide. The players are fulfilling their current contracts. One condition is that they must be available for rep selection. Shouldn't that apply in reverse? That if they're the best, they should be selected. On the other hand is the ARL's policy at representative level. That if you're not with us, you're against us. Isn't the ARL entitled to reward loyalty and punish breakaways? Where it's one side against the other at every turn, the ARL is claiming the right to encourage its future. Turning it round the other way, in October '96, Super League says it will host a British tour with tests against an Australian team selected from Super League players only. ARL players won't be invited to play. Well, it's a very difficult question, and at first I was on the players' side, the Super League players. I thought they should have been made available, but as this splits into two distinct camps and you look at both taking very, very opposite points of view, I'm really coming around to the ARL's point that maybe they should all be banned from playing.
Well, I'm a great believer in the state of origin concept. It's best against the best. It always has been. It's been a great success. I can understand the ARL's position. I certainly can. But I think for the sake of the origin concept, to keep it alive and well, especially since we're going to Melbourne, I think everyone should bury the hatchet, pick the best players, get the origin series out of the way, and perhaps if they do pick the Super League players, that might be a little step towards conciliation. I'd like to see the best players picked for both sides, not just for Queensland.
Well, Petey, how do you see this being reconciled, the state of origin part of it at least?
Well, I've got a lot of sympathy for the Rugby League, of course, Warren. I think you know where I stand there, but I'd like to see the best players selected simply because consideration has to be given to the fans.
Yeah, as I say, I've been sitting on the bench for a couple of weeks trying to work this one out, but it is a tough one, and I don't see any sign of reconciliation from the Super League with their move yesterday, saying that their players would be involved in their test matches. Anyway, we'll look at the action. It's coming up in about 5 minutes. North versus St George. Back to Karen for a moment.
Thanks, Warren. Let's update the AFL in just one match.